I am calling the policy meeting to order at 6:15. I'm going to open it for public comment. I don't see anybody. Bonnie, was there anything? No. Okay. Then we will move on to the approval of the minutes from June 10th. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and into the discussion of our possible future considerations. So we have 18 policies that are from the spring rollout that we just have to wrap up for this chunk of policies. Most of these ones are policies to be reviewed, a couple of updated, but honestly, nothing big in any of these policies, no big changes. Some of these were just like legal updates or wording. So we will start with item 1, policy 480, accounting and audits. This is just a review. Any questions on that one? No? Okay. Item number 2, policy 270, vacancies on the Board of Education. Nothing new here, just reviewing. I think over the past couple of years, we've had some experience with this, but seems pretty standard. Questions? No. Okay. Item 3, Exhibit 270E, checklist for filling board vacancies by appointment. Now, this one was rewritten, but it was just to tidy up the language a little bit. No major changes. They were really just minor updates here. And the checklist is pretty comprehensive in everything that we need to include, and it's there for us if that's ever needed. Good on that one? Okay. Item 4, policy 2125, board member compensation expenses. This is just, again, reviewed. No changes here, and I think pretty in line with the guidelines we need to follow. Any questions? Good on that one? Great. Okay, so item 5, exhibit 2125E1, board member expense reimbursement form, again reviewed, and this is just one of the tools that we use when we have expenses. Okay, if there's no questions, on to item 6, exhibit 2125E2, board member estimated expenses approval form, again, goes with the other policy, just reviewing, and I didn't see any changes necessary. Okay, we will move on to the next policy. That's item 7, policy 2160, board attorney. And this is just a review of the policy. Now, this policy outlines what we need to do for a board attorney. And I think this is something we've used in the past and been pretty straightforward. So again, a helpful tool. Any questions on this one? Okay. Then we have item 8, exhibit 2160E, checklist for selecting a board attorney. This gives us step-by-step what we need to do when selecting a board attorney. Again, this one is not required. It's just a guideline for us to follow if we need to use that when selecting a board attorney. So it's a great resource to have there if we're ever looking for a specific attorney that specializes in something, some things to consider while selecting that attorney.
Yeah, and I guess I would add that just for context for the group and anybody watching at home that, this is basically the process the district has used. We use a variety of attorneys depending on kind of specialty and particular topics we may need support with. So, I think sometimes if people see something like this in the public, they think, well, like this means the district has, like we have an attorney or
Right.
something like that, and we don't. There's a wide variety of attorneys we might work with depending on what the specialty and the issue is that we need some support with. So,
Yeah, and that was outlined a bit in the policy that is completely acceptable and should be used that way because there are different specialties in everything that
Right.
we're managing throughout the district. Okay, so item 9, policy 415, identity protection. And again, this one's just reviewed about some of the things that we need to do around trainings for identity protection of our students and anyone we have social security numbers of.
I'll tell you, our staff takes this very seriously.
Yeah. Yes, we see a lot nowadays of some things, identity issues. So I'm glad to hear that we take this seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, policy Item 10, policy 470, resource conservation. So this one was updated. Some of the language was just updated. They kind of changed around the wording of some. And they added that the resource conservation policy needs to be when economically and practically feasible to do so. So I think that that was a nice addition as we're managing our overall budgets to make sure that those are things that we can fit in. Any questions on that one? Okay. Item number 11, sorry, policy 5130, responsibilities concerning internal information. Again, that one's just updated, and that was a legal reference update. Nothing actually changed in the policy. Item number 12, policy 5180, temporary illness or temporary incapacity. That's just reviewed. I didn't see anything that needed adjustment there. It matched what we needed to require, what was required to be done. Item number 13, policy 520, terms and conditions of employment and dismissal. Again, this one is updated. And really the update was just around when we're filling some of those positions such as PE, art, or music, and making sure that we're first trying to fill that with someone who's licensed in that area and or holds an endorsement in that area. And then if not, that whoever's filling that position, that they are working towards that licensure. I don't think that we've had a problem with this, though. We're usually able to fill those positions with someone licensed or endorsed.
Yeah, I will say, kind of with that shortage that's out there, it's getting more difficult.
Right.
And it is good to have this in place as we kind of may see a time.
Right.
May see a time. You know, I was speaking with, was randomly out at an event and speaking with some folks from some other districts, and the vast majority of people I was talking with, you know, weren't starting the year fully staffed and didn't have people licensed for all the right positions. So
Oh, right.
we're pretty lucky
Yeah,
in that way that we still are able to do that, because it's a pretty great district. So,
yeah,
but it's good to have this in place to help us with that.
right. Okay, then, so we are on to 14, policy 5290, employment termination and suspensions. Again, this one is just reviewed. No updates there. Any questions on that one?
No.
Okay. Item 15, policy 6110, programs for students at risk of academic failure and/or dropping out of school and graduation incentives program. This is just, again, a review. I think in this one, there were a lot of things outlined on what we would do in this circumstances or in these circumstances. Any questions on that one or updates? Okay. Item 16, policy 6140, education of homeless children. This one is just updated, and again, it was just because of legal updates, no actual verbiage or changes to the policy itself. And then we'll move on to 17, policy 6150, home and hospital instruction. That was reviewed, no changes there, and I didn't see any need for any updates. And item 18, policy 7170, vandalism review, a policy that we're just reviewing. Any questions on that? Okay. I think pretty straightforward here. Good to review all these policies and just a reminder of some of those policies that we do have, but everything was pretty in line with what press had recommended that we have so that we are compliant with everything. Can I get a motion to move these policies onto the board to the full board for approval?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I don't have any information. Anybody have any information? Okay. And then for item 6, outstanding policy cleanup and review, we don't have any at this time. We will move these onto the board, and then the next policy meeting will have another chunk of policies.
I was gonna add to that, you know, these, a lot of these were a little more, I guess, perfunctory in terms of just, you know, stuff we needed to review or some legal changes. But that next round of policies has, already come out, and I think might be somewhere we'll have a little more conversation for the next meeting, so.
Yeah, and I would add that something that Andy and I had discussed and we tried different with this batch of policies is that we split it up over the past 3 policy meetings because there were a lot. Each round, in this round, a lot of policies came out and we thought that maybe that was a better way that we could actually put the time into making sure we read them all detailed enough to make sure we were meeting everything. And spent the time needed on some of those bigger policies we had the first time around. So I think that worked well. And we'll continue to look at the structure of how we split them up and bring them to the policy committee and then move them on to the full board. Okay, well then that is everything we have. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.